Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into one of the biggest, most frustrating challenges for parents everywhere, your teen's screen time. We're going to look at how to get out of that cycle of constant arguments and actually build a solution that works. Okay, let's be honest. Does this scene look painfully familiar? That nightly battle over the phone, trying to get them to switch over to homework? If you feel like it's a losing fight, I promise you, you are not alone. This is pretty much the reality in households all over the world right now. A lot of us, our gut reaction is to just take control, right? Take the phone away, set these really hard limits. But what the research is telling us is that this can seriously backfire. It often just creates more conflict and can really start to wear away at the trust you've built with your teen. So what if there was another path? A way to handle this that actually builds up their skills instead of just building up resentment? Well, there is. And today, we're going to explore this really powerful shift in thinking that can turn this family flashpoint into a real chance to connect and help them grow. All right, first things first, we have to get a handle on what's really going on inside your teenager's brain. And spoiler alert, it's probably not what you think. This quote, "This is the idea that changes everything." It comes from an approach called collaborative problem solving. And it basically says that when kids are struggling, it's not because they have a bad attitude or a lack of willpower. It's because they're missing a skill they need to succeed. And you know what? Neuroscience totally backs this up. See, in the teenage brain, there's this big mismatch going on. The parts of the brain that craves rewards, social connection, and excitement, they're fully developed and firing on all cylinders. But the prefrontal cortex, that's the CEO, the part that's in charge of impulse control and thinking about long-term consequences, it's still a work in progress. So when you understand that biology, it makes sense, right? The constant pull of the screen with all those likes, comments, and notifications, it feels completely overwhelming to them. It's not a character flaw. It's literally brain chemistry at work. So here's the kicker. The goal isn't to get rid of screens entirely. In fact, research like the Goldilocks hypothesis suggests that a moderate amount of high-quality screen time is actually linked to the best outcomes for well-being. The real secret is finding that just right balance. So what do we do with all this information? Well, it all starts with us, the parents. We have to make a big shift in our own mindset, away from control and toward collaboration. This chart really lays it out perfectly. It's about changing your role from being the screen police to being their coach. It's about moving from constantly checking up on them and setting restrictions to building a real partnership and focusing on teaching them the skills they need. So how in the world do you even start this conversation? Well, you can start by being a little vulnerable. Try saying something like, I get stuck scrolling on my phone for way too long too. That simple admission changes the whole dynamic. Suddenly, it's not you versus them. It's you and them, together, as a team, trying to figure out how to deal with these tech companies that are literally designed to hijack our attention. Okay, so once you've made that mental shift, what's next? Let's talk about some practical tools you can use to turn this new mindset into a concrete plan for your family. Your first and most powerful tool is creating a family media plan. And let me be clear, this isn't just a list of rules for your kid. Nope. This is a shared agreement for how your entire family is going to interact with technology. And the questions you tackle together are key. Things like, hey, are we going to have screens at the dinner table for anyone? Or what's our rule about phones in bedrooms overnight? When you create these guidelines as a family, everyone knows the expectations and it feels fair to everybody involved. The second tool makes things even more concrete: a phone and social media contract. Now I know, contract sounds super formal, but really, it's just about making sure everyone is on the same page about responsibilities. And look, the process of creating it is the most important part. This is not you just handing down a list of demands. It's a negotiation. When your teen actually helps create the rules and agrees on what happens when they're broken, they get a real sense of ownership. They have skin in the game, and that makes them so much more likely to actually stick with it. So having a plan is awesome. But we all know that real change, the kind that lasts, happens in the small, consistent things you do every single day. These are the daily habits that make the whole thing work. We're talking simple stuff, like agreeing on how long a gaming session will be before it even starts. Or, and this is a big one, modeling the behavior you want to see by putting your own phone away at dinner. These little habits are what weave your plan into the fabric of your daily life. At the end of the day, this whole thing isn't just about managing screen time right now. It's so much bigger than that. It's about preparing your teen for their future. We're trying to move beyond just simple safety rules and help them build something called digital resilience. That's the real prize here, giving them the skills to use technology in a way that's healthy and adds value to their life. Whether that's knowing when to walk away from a toxic online argument or using social media to organize a fundraiser. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is work ourselves out of a job. The goal is to gradually hand over the controls, to equip our teens with the internal skills they need to make smart, healthy choices all by themselves, long after they've moved out. And please remember, you are not in this by yourself. More and more research is pointing to the power of the whole community. Trusted relatives, family friends, mentors, all playing a role in supporting our kids as they learn to navigate this digital world. And that really brings us to the final takeaway. This constant battle over screen time, it doesn't have to be a battle. By shifting our whole perspective from control to collaboration, we can stop fighting about the screens and start building the skills our kids desperately need to not just survive, but to truly thrive in their digital future.